look at this as like a secret indicator that most traders don't know about. And I already know that most traders are trading with emotion, trading by hand, using too much leverage, taking their stop profits and their take profits off. I already know these things. So to get an immediate edge, all I had to do was automate my trading because when you get in an emotional state, a Stanford professor told me this from YouTube, of course, because I did not go to Stanford. I'm not some smart guy. He says, when you get in an emotional state, you literally cannot think logically. Think about when you got in a fight with your friend, spouse, or whatever. You said some things you didn't mean, right? That's because you weren't thinking logically. You were emotional. You were in an emotional state. It's impossible to think logically in an emotional state. So as a hand trader, you and I both have felt this before, right? It's like, damn, I'm super emotional right now. I gotta win it back today. I gotta win this trade right now. But logically, if you take a few steps back, logically, you know that I have another day. I have another week. I have another year. I have another 5 years. I have another 50 years to trade. I don't need to win it all back today. I don't need to keep trading today. If I hit my stop loss, I'm done. If I hit my take profit, take profit. So this is like kind of a secret indicator on top of all of that, right? If you make the shift to automated trading, that's awesome. Please do that. I think it's essential. If you're going to trade by hand, you're just gambling. Automated trading is less gambling because you're doing the research on the front end and then you're letting robots trade for you. But this is like a secret right here that nobody looks at, nobody understands. The funding rates. The funding rates tell you where all those emotional hand traders are sitting. Okay, so this is how funding rates work. If you go to something like this, and by the way, you get all of this code here. So if you just don't want to listen to me yap, go to the GitHub in the description here at Moondev AI Agents. You can see all the funding rates here and you can add any symbol you want, but you need to know what funding rates do and how to use them in your bots. So I'll explain all that here. But if you want to go get the code right now, it's in the SRC under the agents. This is my AI agents for trading. Go down to funding agent and then boom, you have all of the code that I'm running right here. You can see she just printed out the funding rates here and I use this in a lot of my systems. You can see all the code here so you have access to it. Okay, so what is the funding rate? The funding rate is a mechanism that perpetual exchanges use in order to keep their book balanced. So you can see up here, if I go to, okay, sure, hype, whatever. Up here, let's see, where did it go? Oh, this is spot. So on perps here, if I go to BTC, you can see here the funding rate is 10.95%. This means that shorts pay 10.95% per year to longs to keep the book balanced. If we look at some other smaller tickers, it might be bigger, might be smaller. 10.95%. I think that's about normal. But you'll see times that the funding rate gets out of whack. So 10.95% as well. These are usually during times of volatility. For example, you can see TNSR is negative 1119% annualized per year. That means if you sit in a short position, since it's negative, if it's positive, shorts pay longs. If it's negative, longs pay shorts. So they are paying you to long here 1000%. That's crazy. That's telling you that everybody is short this token. So they use this mechanism called the funding rate to tell you what side the majority is on. And remember, the majority are hand traders. They're emotional. They're probably staring at the screen. They're probably like, okay, I'm just going to sit here, wait 10 more minutes. Okay, it's about to hit my take profit. And then it hits their take profit and they take it off and they keep sitting and they're in this perpetual, I have to win. I have to make $1 million today. Now I know there's a percentage of people that are not like that. Of course, those are probably the small percent of profitable hand traders. And of course, that's you, right? Of course, that's you. So don't even worry about any of this I'm about to show you. Anyways, if you have tools like this, the funding rate, you can see where the rest of the traders are. And then you can implement this into your systems. This is like a secret, right? I have other secrets as well. You could check out my YouTube channel, but I can see where other people are sitting. I can see where they get liquidated. I can see where they enter. I can see how much leverage they're using. I can see how far away they are. So you can see how I use this in combination with the funding rate. You can build any system that you can think of. Now, the key here is you just need to go learn how to code so you can understand how to use code like this in your systems. So I'm going to scroll through all the code, but you have all of it as well. The link is in the description. This is called the funding agent. And she just sits here and she actually tells me when things get out of whack. So she'll give me a voice announcement. And the reason I implemented voice was because that shows that the indicator is working, right? I can then implement this into systems. But these are AI agents that are watching this static data and then essentially announcing when the funding rates get out of whack. And I built it this way because then it's useful for hand traders if you're not fully convinced on automated trading yet. I truly think this is the only way you should trade. Otherwise, you should just buy and hold or do something else. Because at the end of the day, you will get emotional at one point. So I want to give you these tools, and I'm on a mission right now. It's probably going to take me the next 6 months, but I'm on a mission to release all of my 5 years of code step by step, day by day, over the next 6 months or so. I believe code's a great equalizer, and nobody showed me this stuff. Nobody would share this. Wall Street is so secretive, dude. So, in order to make sure that I leave my mark on this world, I want to make sure that the last 5 years of hard work within algorithmic trading is all going to be open sourced. It just may take me some time, but you can see this is one of my favorite little secrets that is so easy to access, but nobody understands how it works and nobody understands how to use it. So when you see things like this, a negative 1000% funding rate, there are so many ideas that can be built off this. If you haven't heard of funding rate arbitrage, that's a great one. You can go long somewhere and short somewhere else, long spot and then short the perps. In this case, it's negative funding. So you would go long the perps, and I guess you can't really short somewhere. You'd have to find another perp dex that you would short somewhere else, but then you can just collect this payment every hour or so. 1149%. That's crazy. But the way I personally like to use these funding rates is just to see what side everybody is on, because this example is a great example. Like, everybody's trying to short this. You don't see 1000% annualized funding very often. So you can update this code to loop through all of the funding rates here on Hyperliquid. So essentially, a great idea would be to loop through all of these tokens each day and see what's the craziest funding rate right now. Matter of fact, you want to just go build that real quick? We could probably build that in no time. We can probably build this in literally no time. Let me go ahead and open this up here. Let's go ahead and build that. Why not? Let's close this out so I can get dangerous mode going. Claude Code. Look at this funding agent. I want you to make a funding agent too. And what I want you to do is I want you to grab all these symbols out of Hyperliquid. First off, okay, so you grab all the symbols and then you're going to loop through each of the symbols and grab their funding rates. And then we're going to have a data frame of all of the funding rates. And we'll print that out, of course, but then you'll get the top 5 anomalies. So the top 5 biggest or top 5 smallest funding rates. And then we'll have the AI announce those top 5 biggest and smallest with her voice at the end of the run. So this way we know everything works and anybody can implement any of this into their own systems. Let's get it, dude. So you can see how you take 5 years of hard work, ideas I come up with. I'm trying to drop all this code on the internet in the GitHub over the next 6 months or so. I'll try to explain everything. So if I'm not here someday, the videos explaining everything are here All of the code is here. And there's a big FU to Wall Street because they will never show us this stuff and it will be here forever until YouTube tries to take it down. And if they do take it down, guess what? I'll put it on Dropbox. And if you're inside of the boot camp, you'll have that forever. How about that? So I do have the boot camp here. You can learn step by step how to automate your trading. There's a link in the description. But what's great about this is I have a roadmap as well. And if you just put your name and email in here, you don't even have to join the boot camp. You can get this free roadmap that shows you how to automate your trading. Yes, it's going to be more self-serve. You go through it yourself and not as much hand holding as the boot camp, sure, but you're probably smart enough to figure it out with that. So you can see I'm building the funding agent 2 that grabs all Hyperliquid symbols, loops through them to get the funding rates, finds the top 5 biggest and the top 5 smallest. So if I see a funding rate that's like 10,000%, I know everybody is long. If I know everybody is long, that's an idea, right? Of course, nobody's going to just say, hey, do this, and do this, and you're going to make $1 million. That's all fugazi. Run away. Make sure to come up with your own ideas. But I will go ahead and try to give you my all every single day to show you absolutely everything. And like I said, this code is already in the GitHub. We're building funding.
Moondev 777. Let me tell you about the funding rate anomalies on Hyperliquid. First, the top 5 highest funding rates. Zerebro has a funding rate of 86.45% annual. Hemi has a funding rate of 24.10% annual. BTC has a funding rate of 10.95% annual. Ondo has a funding rate of 10.95% annual. SCR has a funding rate of 10.95% annual. Now, the top 5 lowest funding rates. TNSR has a funding rate of 77.63% annual. MAV has a funding rate of 748.72% annual. DYM has a funding rate of 702.57% annual. 0G has a funding rate of 482.4% annual. Layer has a funding rate of 433.66% annual. That's all for Nav Out.
Let's do top 3, and the lowest should be negatives and the highest are positives. I think she either said it wrong or we did it wrong. But this is fire because now like
Moondev 777. Let me tell you about the funding rate anomalies on Hyperliquid. First, the top 5 highest funding rates. Zerebro has a funding rate of 86.28% annual. Hemi has a funding rate of 22.07% annual. BTC has a funding rate of 10.95% annual. Ondo has a funding rate of 10.95% annual. SCR has a funding rate of 10.95% annual. Now, the top 5 lowest funding rates. TNSR has a funding rate of 91182.08% annual. MAV has a funding rate of 90.
Okay. And you don't need to test them. I'll test them. I'll test them. Everything I do, I'm going to test live and show you everything live, dude. I'm going to show you everything here. You throw a yes in the chat. That means, okay, yes, show me everything. Okay, so we're updating to the top 3 instead of the top 5. Okay, here we go. So it grabs all of them. Let's go ahead and see. And all of this will be in the GitHub, of course. Let's go ahead and run it, dude. So it should loop through and get all of the symbols here. Highest, annual, lowest. Okay, look at this. Negative and positive. So we can see the highest and the lowest just off the
Moondev 777.
like that.
Let me tell you about the funding rate anomalies on Hyperliquid. First, the top 3 most positive funding rates. Zerebro has a positive funding rate of 87.43% annual. Hemi has a positive funding rate of 16.44% annual. BTC has a positive funding rate of 10.95% annual. Now, the top three most negative funding rates.
Is he negative
TNSR has a
1194?
negative funding rate of 9194.23% annual. MAV has a negative funding rate of 716.02% annual. DYM has a negative funding rate of 9702.54% annual. That's all for now. Moondev out.
Yeah, that's absolutely fire. Thank you for that. Make sure this loops. I want to make sure this loops every 15 minutes so it never stops running, essentially. And I'm going to go ahead and then update this code on the GitHub. The GitHub is here. Go to the link in the description. You can read through it or type in AI agents, Moondev. Go ahead and then hit star here in order to save all the code. Fork it to get all the code on your machine. Check out the README so you can understand everything. But all of this code here that you've watched today about the funding rates and these great ideas that you can add into your own models are under the agents here, funding agent. And I'm about to update it so there's funding agent number 2. And we just built that here, dude, because I was telling you about it and I came up with a new idea. Do you see how this works? Every single day, I'm either researching or I'm backtesting or I'm implementing into bots because that's the system that I follow. While I'm not going to give you $1 million just for coming to my YouTube channel and say, hey, run my best bots like this at this time and yada with this size, yada. I can't do that. Nobody can do that. It's just math, but I can give you my system and I can send you my love. 777 to you. The process of automating your trading, all explained right here, RBI. And I've already shown you how to get that free roadmap. Okay, now this has been updated. So let me go ahead and say git add git commit /m. And I'm going to say the funding agent 2 added. And then I'm going to say git push. Okay, git push. Let's get it. So now you have all of the code here and there's really nothing else for me to show you here. If you want to make sure to learn everything I've learned in the last 5 years, I'm going to spend the next 6 months giving you every single piece of code that I do have. And I will explain it into short, concise videos here on the YouTube during the live streams. Come to the lives every day around 8 a.m. Eastern. I'll be here for a few hours. Like I said, I've been chasing this man, Jim Simons, for about 5 years now, and I am still chasing him every single day. But at the end of the year, I need to spend at least a month, maybe up to 6 months. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I want to make sure to get all of my code up into the GitHub with short, concise videos like this so you can have something that will someone to lean on, some ideas to lean on. You're not here alone inside the boot camp. If you do want to join that, we do have a community as well. So you have everything that we built today. You understand how to use funding rates, and I can't wait to see what you build.